And so if this is your first time, please subscribe, hit the notification button so that you know to join us every week. It's about 15 minutes and it always is fun and very educative. Today we have a guest on the show. Who is my G. His name is Tony. He's an investment professional. And I mean, I probably will probably drop his profile in the description. But Tony is a pension fund manager. He's done that for so many years and he's an investment professional. And he'll be part of our discussion today. He's going to be having fun with us. So, Tony, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And good morning, viewers and listeners.
Yes, he's giving us. I also forgot to mention that 12 of the Money Meets Club. So, yay. Hi, member. And then we go on to the news. So how we normally run it is that we go through global, African, and then Nigerian news. And so we will just start, right? So on the global news, we had some very interesting things happen. And you can see that in the scrolling through. Oh, no, that's Nigerian news. Global news. Okay, yes. U.S.-Saudi Petrodollar Pact ends, right? So Tony, please, first of all, tell us what was the pact, first of all, and then what does it even mean for us as individuals?
Yeah, so I was saying that the pact really is that oil sales of crude oil will only be done in dollars and no other currency, and so that's the petrodollar. There are several issues around that. However, Saudi is saying, hold on, wait a minute, we do not think that we should be paying you only in your currency. So to your question, that's just what that
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. And in addition to that, the agreement also included that their excess revenue on oil sales has to be invested in U.S. Treasuries. That I think for
Oh,
me
really?
was yes, that was part of the pact. So you can see how this thing has the potential to affect both the demand for dollar as a currency and then the level of the yields of U.S. Treasuries. Because when there's short demand, yields will be kept low. So you can see how
Yeah.
smart some people were at some point in time in their lives to strike some very
Very smart,
interesting,
very smart, I
very,
must say.
very smart.
And I
Yes.
mean, now that we're having this conversation, I, I, I mean, to be honest, I think that at some point this will probably eventually happen. But do I think it will happen now? I'm not exactly very optimistic. I think this is some negotiation going on, and in a way to force moves. This conversation has shifted to I would not sign this. I think it's a pointer to something else. This is probably a distraction.
You think it's a distraction. So on one side, I it could be a distraction. There's also a negotiation part of it, I agree. But there's also the part where people are just waking up. So if there's bricks and there are those conversations happening, some of the things that need to happen for that to actually happen, like the bricks thing to actually take shape, is things like this. So while definitely everybody's looking for their own interest, I sort of feel like I would struggle with Saudi Arabia, with seeing Saudi Arabia sign that contract in the exact terms as it was done 50 years ago. Something is
So
definitely going to change.
so I completely agree. So like I said, some negotiations. So meaning that if we're going to sign this, some variations, should
Yeah.
come in. There's probably, I mean, so Saudi today says we want to be the new Dubai in a bigger form, right? So there are
Mm.
different things going on, to be able to achieve that. And for that, you probably need more money, So there are probably other things going on that is at the back of their minds, and they're saying, I can get more out of this,
I can get
especially
more out of this.
there's a Russia side of things, there's a China side of things, and those are not allies to the US. And
Yes.
and Saudi seems to be open to talking to everyone, especially with the grand plan that it has. So there are bigger activities, which is why I said this is a distraction to the extent that this is where I'm going, but I need to use what I have to get
Yes. Say what I-
what
Fantastic, fantastic, and I totally agree with that. For us as investors who are just looking and say where does this where do we play here? I guess for me the first thing that we probably agree on is the fact that Saudi is trying to get into the game in a bigger way, right? But of course they probably would have to loosen up on some of the hardline things that they have hardline reputation that they've had in the past because because that's one thing America has an advantage over all the BRICS nations, all of them.
Correct.
So who would think of their own going on a vacation to some of these countries, right? Just randomly going. So those are the things that whilst you do this, you also have to consider that man, no matter what, you're not just going to wake up and go to some certain countries to have to chill. And with that, and those chilling decisions where the economy is going, really. So wow.
Interestingly, I mean, so I listened to the World Economic Forum, you know, I watched some videos of recent during the course of my program, and it was actually a topic linked to a course, and it got interesting realizing that Saudi is actually, $1 trillion economy,
Oh,
and they are
wow.
expanding on various fronts, and it just piqued my interest. Interestingly, I've got classmates who are Saudis, and
From
I'm
that
like,
country. Oh.
maybe we should visit and see, because sometimes,
I see what's happening.
sometimes
Yeah.
media doesn't do enough justice to these things, so
Justice. Yeah.
I have potential invitations waiting that,
Mm.
oh, whenever you're ready, come. Okay, okay,
Oh.
let's go and see what's going on. I
Yeah,
mean,
go now. Go and scout the land for us. Yeah. No, no
of,
fingers crossed. There's money matter.
yeah,
A trillion dollar
of
economy.
yeah, I'm
Eh?
serious. I mean, I was shocked to see, and then you had the ministers sitting, across the room, and conversations, the kind of things that you don't hear mainstream media speak about. And like, oh,
Hmm.
really, really, this is going on. And sometimes, I mean, a friend of mine also visited Russia last week
Interesting.
and was streaming events that she was in. And I'm like, really? And these packed events. So, I mean,
Really?
so just
So
to
things are
digress,
happening. You just don't know.
things are happening. So the question is, what is the media telling you, and what
What
interests
is
is being
really
protected?
happening?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
fantastic, fantastic. I think we flogged this issue very well. For the investor that is listening in, I think the first thing is open your mind. Number two, know that the tide is turning. Know that if, for example, America was to go to, there's a chance that in a couple of years down the line, like down the line, not in near term, down the line, there might be some places that if you put your money in right now, you'll be smiling to the bank. So that is what we would say. And then because we are members of the club, when Tony goes to Saudi, he will tell us what he found and we can we can, we can see where we should move our money to. Yeah. Abby. Yeah. So if you want to join us, let me drop the link here while we are talking. Yeah, let's move to the next topic. Next one is just interesting, right? Apple brings ChatGPT to iPhones and Siri. So you know the way you see competition, you think all these people are competing, but in the end, they are actually allies because ChatGPT is owned by Microsoft technically, right? You would say Apple has this thing with Google, where Google is the search engine backing their blah blah blah. But fundamentally, they are all talking to each other. Yeah, that's the first thing. Then second thing, this AI is coming here to bamboozle all of us. We now don't know who is thinking and who is not because it's just about who can use AI best right now. But what do you have to say about this?
I mean, to be honest, so of recent, I mean, after a few updates on my phone, I then realized that I want to chat on WhatsApp,
WhatsApp.
and I'm seeing AI hanging. So I'm trying to search for somebody's name, and AI is trying to ask me
Do
what's
I need
going on.
something from the person?
Can we converse? And like, guy, where exactly are we going? So I mean, so this is probably I mean, it has come. Yeah, it's here. There's not so much you can do about it. It's just the fear of what people or what humans are capable of doing, and the negatives. But of course, the positive on the other side is the fact that your life can just get better, at the
It's
tap of a
easier.
button. You can get things going on. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that part is fascinating. But the other side of it, if you go down to the extent of deep fake,
Oh.
all of that, I like, whoa, it's just mind blowing, massive stuff going on there.
Startup funding, right? So let's talk about that. I mean, in the call, we've done a lot of VC, a couple of VC transactions, right? And the news was that startup funding increased month on month. That we've had a law, right? We've had a law, but then last month in May, startup funding was about $187 million. What do you think about that?
So I think that there there are opportunities and probably time lag between the process of taking a look at these opportunities and coming to terms with, okay, it makes sense to do this, and all of that will create a bit of gap. Like we're having this conversation now, and then there's this issue with the internet. I think it creates opportunities for solutions, because Africa is far behind in terms of uh, where the world is. There will always be that opportunity. I also think that in the past you had quite a steep movement in terms of funding, and then we've had a few failures. You can quote law of averages there in terms of if you have excess numbers, and then you also have increased failures going on in there. This resurgence is also important to note that it's not like the all-time high. It's higher than what you had in April.
Well, it's not fantastic.
However, it's not, yes, yes. But I think that, so there's some cautious optimism. Optimism is there in the sense that there are loads and loads of things that can be done. But cautious optimism because of now you've seen some failures, and you have to take a bit of back steps to say, okay, wait a minute, it may not be all
Yeah,
sweet stories and all of that, but clearly there are imperfections in the
exactly.
system that you need to correct, and that creates
Value.
opportunities for
Fantastic. That's
funding.
actually very true. And I mean, on the conversation around losing money, the fact is this: even in America, the country of the world, right? The country of the free, the place where you can go to and make all the billions in one night. The data shows that
Really free.
the data shows that only 10 to 30% of all businesses survive 10 years. That is their own data.
Yeah,
So when you are investing in startups in Africa, the risk is also higher, number one. So if they are doing 10 to 30%,
yeah,
then it means that our own ratios will be smaller, right? So let's bear that in mind. And then I also find
yeah,
that a lot of people, when startups shut down, they feel like, why did they shut down? Did they steal money? Blah blah blah. No, startups shut down a lot globally. It's normal.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
normal for them to shut down.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
understand that. So manage your risk effectively. The responsibility is on you to manage your risk. I hope we've learned something today. And finally, we come to Nigeria. If internet will allow us to be great, because I mean, after fiber, where else do you go? Because there's nothing else to do. So Nigeria news. So there was news about Diageo leaving Nigeria versus are they really leaving? No, they are just exiting. They are changing their model. Blah 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 blah. So tell us the real situation and what we should make out of it.
Caveats: I'm not in the board of the IGO. I don't know the real situation.
I love it.
But but you see, I mean, the news being shared is 58% odd. ownership of Guinness Nigeria is being bought over by Toleram, from Diageo. However, they held, there's still a leash in terms of product, in terms of branding, in terms of marketing. I guess the whole idea is because that brand name is going to be kept, there's still a link to the parent, and so they want to be able to. I like that fact. So I like the fact that Diageo is holding that leash, meaning we have a minimum standard that you have to keep up with. I mean, and those can come from the markets that they both originate from. So I like that fact. However, I think that for Guinness there will be some synergies because Toleram is very, very good. I mean, the group has got good logistics. I mean, not franchise now, network, multi-pro, and the rest of it. In the FMCG space, they are winners, in that space, and I think that Guinness will get some synergies from there. The downside for me is we can see at the end of this that there will be a delisting. In
Mm,
other words, investors are going to be cut out from whatever gains that could have come from
mm,
this. Is there going to be some impact in terms of job losses? Maybe, because again, you are going to be subsumed within a group. Certain things will
cases,
come
yes.
with that. Maybe some distribution and all of that things will, in terms of logistics business, some people may have lost, and the impact. I mean, the result of that may be uh, some bank loans or debt situations that have been taken, pricing in your contracts with Guinness that, as it is, BHN will come in and will probably be the major, distribution partner and stuff like that. So there will be some shakeup. There will be some negatives to partners and investors. But all in all, the good side of it is the fact that whilst Diageo is leaving, you have another FDI coming in to say, you know what, I'm here for the
Mm,
long term. And these guys are scattered around and they're staying here. I read something of recent where someone was saying, years down the line, we will just be, uh, you know, exposed a lot more to the guys from the east rather than the guys from the
mm,
west. But to be honest, this is also not peculiar to us. I must say at this point that we've got real issues at the macro level. Economy is in dire straits. We are struggling on all fronts. You know, so yes, there are challenges, which probably what led to Diageo's leaving. But again, it's not limited to us because Diageo has been doing this across different
market.
markets. Yeah, and they're trying to move away from beer to spirits, where they have better margins, and this money is probably going to go into expansion of that business back home in Ireland. So that's global vision must also be looked at from
Point of
Diageo's
view.
point of view. I mean, as a business. So offload these guys that are not giving you as much margins, which anyone will do, and move where you have
Better profit
better
and double
better
down.
yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. This was such a balanced view of things. I mean, because there was this, they are leaving the country. It just says that there's a problem, blah, 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 blah. And yes, there's that part also, because if we were giving them the kind of margins they needed, they probably would have said, okay, Nigeria is the exception. Or if our turnover was fabulous in dollar terms, do you get? But it is what it is.
Correct.
From a business perspective, you just need to do what you need to do. And then we move. And the final thing, because I mean, internet has dulled us a little bit, but we move. Bank recapitalization. Oh yeah, tell us about that. That is your forte. I won't mention people. So yes, people have started coming out. Okay, maybe I should even do
I mean, yeah,
Okay, good.
I've I mean, as in the course of my job, I probably had meetings with three banks already. Did I say three? Four? No, yeah, no, three banks. The others are conversations still on the sideline. So I've had three banks, come, and the three banks, interestingly, are within the Fugas. I mean, for viewers, Fugas will be First Bank, UBA, GTB, Access, and Zenith. So three of those banks I have, had sessions with, um, and in terms of numbers, the story looks good. There are exceptional people behind these institutions in terms of direction, in terms of vision. I mean, I wouldn't call names, but I was with the CFO and the MD, by the way, an ED of one of them 2 days ago, and the conversation was, we will only raise exactly what we need so that we don't overly dilute, current shareholders. So that for me was a strong point. Uh, and the extra that we'll be taking will probably be about 25% dilution. And based off of that, we can actually pay exactly what we paid the previous
Mm.
year. And like I said, just like, so there's this noise in the market, and the re-rating of the stocks, whereby an average of 30% value has been lost in terms of share prices. And then you are hearing this and looking to yourself to say, wait a minute, why am
Selling.
I, when there's blood on the
Mm.
floor, do I just, head back in there and take a position? And that for me is probably the vantage position that I have as a pension,
Practice. Mm.
investment guy, to say, these conversations, can you take a second look? So when the bank is saying to you, if I raise what I need to raise, I can pay what I paid before. So all things being equal, I can
Right.
match
Yeah.
whatever it is you were comfortable
Margin.
with. And like, prices are lower. What are you doing? Just go there and have some 1 year
Yeah.
horizon. Just sit down there and look at what's going on. So it creates new opportunities. But aside that, on for the economy, I think we should also draw a nexus between the government has said to us they are looking at a $1 trillion economy down the line,
Well,
and that cannot be
in 2 years.
possible.
Don't say sorry,
Sorry,
don't let me interrupt. You said in 2 years. The point is not the $1 trillion economy. The point is
I
the
didn't say.
fact
I didn't say.
is but the point
Yeah.
the
So so
statement
so so
was
so so so
2026.
let's
That's my
so
way
let's
of
look at
in it. Can you hear me?
okay. So let's look at it this way. Yeah, I can hear
Mm.
you. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. So so I would digress a little bit and take us back to the Dangote refinery. Dangote refinery has had change in timelines, sorry, change in timelines
Delivery.
in terms
Yeah.
of will go live. But eventually delivery was made. There are different reasons for the
Pushing back. Yes.
deviations. Today we can hear the story, and we're like, I will now appreciate what happened and why those things occurred,
Mm. True.
right? So as investors, it's important to just keep your eyes on the ball.
Mm.
And in this case, we want to achieve a $1 trillion economy. I do not think you can do that with the banks remaining at the size that they are,
Nice. I'm loving Tony's conversation. Okay.
right?
Sorry, repeat what you just said. The last statement. You want to repeat you want to achieve a $1 trillion economy. Just that, yeah.
So, okay, you want to achieve a $1 trillion economy. I do not think you can be able to do that with the size of the banks that you have today. So, why do I think that we can just borrow some lessons from history? We used to have a 2 billion naira capitalization. We moved from there, 10 times to 25, some shrinking in the numbers of banks, expansion of the books, and bigger deals and transactions were done. and
Mm,
the economy as a whole,
grew.
that growth. So again, we are repeating the same thing that has happened. So on one side, you say devaluation has pushed you to do this, but on the other side of it is the fact that there's a growth story that goes along with this
With
because
financial
bigger
intermediation.
transactions can be done.
Yes.
Do you understand?
So
So with the bigger size, book, you can create that story. So there's a connection between this action, by CBN, even though everyone thinks and looks at it from the angle of devaluation alone. There's the other side of it. There's a growth story that comes alongside this. So we shouldn't lose sight of that. And back in the days, those banking stocks that investors were in, at what price, what were the returns today, what are they? And so with that at the back of your mind, you can then begin to project what are you likely to
mm,
see, right? So there will be some banks that will go
normally,
normally. There will be those that will merge, and there are those that will remain, as they are. So it's a question of being able to assess properly, balance them, and say to yourself, I'll pitch my tent
yeah.
here. There's always the other side where people say, "Oh, there's not enough money," and I always say this: when has there been enough money?
Hmm. Hmm. Somehow, some way, something just balances out in the end. If and when you go for it, and I totally love the way you've balanced it out, and it's very very true. I mean, the fact around the banking sector recapitalization and the growth of the economy, there's actually a direct correlation. Whilst the fintechs should be doing more, I don't know what they are doing because their penetration, they're the ones that's supposed to penetrate the market, like go to where the banks are not going, but it doesn't appear to be happening. They are trying to fight the bank's client, as in fight for the clients of the banks, right? But in my own opinion, I believe that banks should be buying some of these fintechs and let them be their rural expression. I don't know, but that's just my theory.
Eh, the other side of that is that if you are going to be buying those now, the question is, what is the price point? So what I think the banks are doing, to fight back is to create subsidiaries to attack that market. So enter at a lower price point and fight that market as well. So because buying fintechs today
You
in
are
the startup
competing
market,
with
like
offshore guys.
valuations,
Yes.
yeah, so valuations just go out of the way. So the other side will be, okay, what are these guys doing? Do the same. So virtually all the banks have some footprint in that market. Well, all the banks that know what they're doing, to be honest, have some footprint in that market and are also competing. And it's probably a matter of time that you see that expansion going on. But acquisition in that space may not be the way that the banks will go because
Yes,
pricing
price
will
point doesn't
just
make sense
not be
because
reasonable
people
to
are
them
valuing in
because
dollars.
because yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Tony. This was a very, 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 very good session. I really learned a whole lot and all. And if you are just watching, and you're not a member of the Money Club, this is the kind of conversations we have, so that the things that you are seeing will tell you how you can make money out of it. See, now we know we go and hold him down. Yeah, which bank? Right? Which bank should we be in? Which bank should we just leave? And of course, it's not like he's giving you insider information. It's just because he has to do a lot of research to stay on top of his game. And so you as an individual, regular Joe, you don't have that time, but he has the time. So why not if not? Yeah. Those are benefits that we enjoy in the community. Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you so much. And everyone seems to have enjoyed it. I did enjoy the conversation. We'll edit it. Um,
Namaste.
we'll edit it and take out all the blips and all so that it's a smoother listen for other people. Thank you so much. And everyone have a good day. Thanks for staying till the end. I see we have people. Thanks, Crispy and Fresh.
Thank
They said
you.
I should bring Tony back next week. Oh, Crispy and Fresh. That one is in love. Business online. Hi, Ola. I'm Tati. Nice, nice. And Tomi Lamikrana, I can see you. Let me see if I missed anybody else. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
Thank you for having me.